Alrighty. Happy weekend, at least to me. So woke up. We had about 4 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. And the snow plow had plowed my entire neighborhood and deposited it right behind my car. So that was my workout today. An hour and a half of shoveling snow. Um, that's right, Mr. Ball. I had to shovel snow for an hour and a half. So Fitbit. Oh, so I was out there for 2+ hours, uh, between shoveling, cleaning out my car, general chicanery, etc. So at least per Fitbit, I got about 170 plus minutes of heart rate based activity today. So, in the gist of general training for life events like this, right? It is good to have that variability where not only do you do some low intensity steady state, maybe you do some moderate intensity steady state, you do some higher intensity interval training as well, and that you're flowing maybe between all three of those types of exercises so that you can be prepared for life-based situations. And if there was ever a time and a place to have a discussion regarding combining both traditional weightlifting with unconventional training, it is this, right? Being able to lift, squat 315 pounds 3 times is good. Being able to squat, I think in my 20 rep max is about 225, 220 to 225, right? Having the stamina and good technique to do that is helpful when you're having to deal with snow. Swinging a hammer is good, right? Working in both single leg, double leg, A and B stances, right? Offset stances is good because we don't always get the chance to squat pretty when we're shoveling, right? As I was working with the snow, right? I'm kind of like in this relative stance. Am I still working on my hinge and squat? Absolutely. But my footing is also unstable at times, so I'm having to, float, catch my balance, which is where that single leg training is useful for. So, we might do a quick, snow series again, but right now, since I've been out there for as long as I have, we are instead going to work on general recovery, which means we are going to have to put Mr. Bones down here shortly. But with the discussion of general recovery, it is a lot of forward bending based activities. Are you going down, bud? Okay, you're going down. A lot of forward bending based activities and twisting. So we're basically going to work into the opposite directions via back bending. If there's a general recommendation for both how to keep yourself safe in terms of when you're shoveling and recovering, if you want to keep yourself totally safe when you're from shoveling, pay somebody else to do it. If you want to shovel, if you don't have, if you're the one doing the shoveling, take breaks, keep yourself hydrated, keep sipping on something throughout. You're working out, you're sweating, having, a little fun beverage, sugary, right, when you're out there because you're burning off that energy is not a bad thing. But again, work to your tolerance, not somebody else's. One of the things I know I did for myself was I tried to make sure I wasn't consistent with it, was switching which hand was the dominant hand about every 3 to 5 shovelfuls, just so I'm not constantly pitching to one side because I am right hand dominant. Alrighty, so that's a lot of talking. So what we're gonna do is a whole bunch of stretching. Oh yes, and Mr. Bones is absolutely going to get in our way. So the first thing we're going to do is just come up on our elbows. I do have this little foot support thingamajob back here, but the sandbags, putting into maybe a little more extension. But that's it, right? This just feels like a nice, comfortable stretch kind of through my abs and low back because I was working into so much forward bending. Alright, so this should feel like nothing, just coming up on our elbows, and then for 30 seconds, we come out of it. Why? Because we didn't spend all that time shoveling in a constantly flexed position. We were sometimes upright. One of the other suggestions I would have is to work into some other standing back bends, which we'll go over once we finish up these laying progressions, but cross that bridge. Alright, what I also like is, I learned this as either the Spider-Man or the roadkill pose. Alright, so it kind of opens up the hip, helps us extend our low back in a different way. So I'm feeling like a different stretch into my like right hip flexor. It's opening up my left adductors, right? I don't feel like I can quite go up as high, but it still feels pretty good. Alright, then we go back down and we kind of rest, right? I'm in a relatively elbows bent position. There is an argument that, you know, hey, I think this is like crocodile and some yoga poses that I've heard, so that the further my elbows are forward to me, we're getting a little thoracic extension rather than just lumbar extension, which could be good for you. Play around with it, see if it feels good. All right, and then we're gonna roadkill to the other side. All right, so same thing. I'm getting a nice like oblique hip flexor type stretching on this left side. Getting a nice like hip opener on my right, so that feels good. So at least the way I learned it is like if your elbows are directly beneath your shoulders, you are working more into lumbar extension. If you get your hands a little, or like my elbows are now a little further ahead, this can emphasize a little more thoracic extension. How about this? Make it easy. Simplify it. Does it feel good? Yes or no? Do you feel worse after? Yes or no? That's as complicated as it has to be. That's where, right, we're gonna work into, right, so I got my hands relatively far out from me, because again, so do I feel this a little more in my lower thoracic spine? Yeah, like my belly is still very much on the floor. Working on our breathing, feels good. Alright, we're gonna come up to the side. So, right. So, this coming up on my elbows like this into this kind of Spider-Man pose, roadkill pose, frog pose feels good for me. And just to remind myself. So this is where, okay, if I come up too high, that feels a little pinchy. If I sit into this, this feels really good on my right hip. Yeah, we're just working into some back bending with some frog leg kind of, that's right, frog leg kind of type movement. So from here, we're gonna go into a prone press up. I may only do like 1 or 2 reps of it just because I am I'm not feeling overly tight from having done all that shoveling today. And I do want to get into some sort of back bending type things, but I'm not pressed about, doing like a 20 to 30 minute recovery session. Okay. Okay, so this feels all sorts of good, right? Like I gotta get a nice kind of glute contraction going, stretching out my abs, my spine feels supported. This feels good to me, right? If this doesn't feel good to you, don't come up this high, right? If you gotta keep your elbows bent, that's fine. I did recently I think I figured out what's kind of going on with my deadlift, and it's like I figured out 2 cues for myself. That might be a future video, but the gist of it being is I have not been as consistent with the gym since the recent holidays and weather turning. But the what was I gonna say? Recent holidays and like the weather conditions. So hey, maybe I was just well rested, but my deadlift did feel really good. So we'll get into a oh, we're already there. So alright, I'm just gonna sit back for a little bit. We're gonna stretch out our hip flexors next. And then we'll do some like standing back bends. And honestly, alright, so this feels really good on that hip flexor area. Again, we were in a relatively forward bent posture, so just kind of, we don't have to be aggressive with it, but kind of promoting some movement. Did I stretch or warm up at all prior to shoveling snow? Technically, no. My warm up was eat breakfast, have some coffee, get dressed. Right? You don't need to attack the snow, as hard as you can when you first get there. Just like, I would say I treated it like I went for a walk. I started off with the easy pieces, kind of chipped away at some of the harder pieces, and kind of just alternated, right? So again, that idea of low intensity, moderate intensity, kind of steady state type things into that higher intensity, but for an interval. Went to a strength coach conference about 2 years ago, and one of the most interesting things that I think they had on there was a lacrosse study in terms of velocities. And I think it was something like 70 to 75% of a lacrosse game, the athletes are walking. 5% is sprinting, and then like 20% is actual like running. So even in a game that's considered, dynamic and quick, most of the time the athletes are just kind of standing around, walking while they're observing the play develop. I would kind of consider snow shoveling a similar concept. So, all right, so by this third one, this feels much more comfortable. Again, I'm stretching, I'm having a conversation. It's not overtly like challenging, right? I'm just trying to get things done. Or just trying to, open it up without going too nuts. Okay. Alrighty. And this is where, like, on this right side, no stretch, stretch. So we'll see if we can get this right side of like open up just like the left side did here over the next couple of rounds. Again, really nice stretch in that front pocket. Kind of tucking in my abs, so the emphasis is on my hip flexor region, not like a low back pressure. Squeezing my glute kind of on and off to kind of, again, open up this hip more and more. Oh yeah. And again, if there was ever a reason to be healthy, it is for, or physically active, physically functional, physically well, it's this, right? I used to live in a snowier region, and every year they'd come out like, hey, if you have a heart condition, maybe don't shovel or snow blow because of the intensity of the activity. So, not to say that all heart conditions are preventable, but if you have trouble getting off the couch or going for a 20 to 30 minute walk due to your physical condition right now, maybe shoveling snow isn't the wisest thing for you. If you have the means and the capability to develop your general fitness so that you can not have to be a concern to somebody else, again, that may be something to think about. All right. So, right, this right hip is now opening up very nicely. Really good stretch of that right front pocket. And that I feel relatively comfortable here, whereas with that first one, it was definitely a struggle. Anyway. Alright, so I'm not going to use a 30-second timer as much for this one, as much as I'm just going to kind of go off of feel. Alright, so standing back bends. So from the side, I've stopped kind of teaching hands on the pelvis, right? Because I feel like where my thumbs are, I just tend to hinge over that. So I'm just kind of jamming up those lower lumbar vertebrae. So if I go kind of fingertips underneath your butt, and or, all right, here's like if I put my hands on top and then I just circulate and I just kind of go heel of my hands below that area, right? Just so that they're more on the butt. We're gonna kind of lean back. All right, and I'll do about 10 of these. I'm kind of dropping into it too quickly, so I am losing my balance. Okay. And then same thing, that I can kind of do a little right hand on the wall for support. Kind of closes off one side. And then do the same thing. And then just to finish out, all right, since we're doing a lot down here, let's open up vertically for a second. Alrighty. Cool. So, bigger message is keep yourself safe. keep yourself healthy this winter holiday season, however you want to call it. And if you did what I did today, great. If you did your own thing, great. If you're just starting, looking for ideas, motivation, discipline, or community to support you is what we're here to do. Help each other be a little better every day. So good job today. Keep working hard, and we'll see you next time.